Hello, hello, hello again. This is the Common Constitutionalist coming at you with the weekly Common Constitutionalist podcast, and today I have but one topic. And this sucker, it seems to be stuck in my craw because I've for the past week or so, I've written, I'm not going to say exclusively, but really close to exclusively about illegal immigration and the problems that we're having, and it's just begun, folks. It's just begun. So I'm going to get into that once again, this time down in Miami-Dade. I've already, I think I've written about this or podcasted about this once before, but we're going to tackle that again today on the Common Constitutionalist.
You are listening to the Common Constitutionalist, broadcasting from an undisclosed location, free from the prying eyes of establishment-backed helicopters.
All right, so this comes to us from the Daily Mail, my buddies over at the UK Daily Mail. And this is, they write that Miami-Dade commissioners backed the order of Mayor Carlos Gimenez. I don't know. I guess it's Gimenez. It's a G-I-M. I guess that's Gimenez. Gimenez. That was delivered after the Trump administration threatened to withhold federal funding from they write so-called sanctuary cities. So they voted Friday 9-3 to uphold the mayor's order to cooperate with federal immigration officials. Okay, wow. Let's just let that statement or the few statements sink in for just a second. Ready? Okay, that's good. Just think about this. Upholding the law now and cooperating with federal immigration officials is actually news. All right? How pitiful, how pathetic are we at this point? At least our cities at this point. Oh, and by the way, they're not so-called sanctuary cities. They're actual sanctuary cities where illegal criminals go to hide. And you don't need to be an actual gun-toting, knife-wielding, drug-dealing criminal to be an illegal alien criminalien. All you got to do is illegally cross the border, and you're de facto, automatically, a criminal alien. But, I mean, honestly, how did we get to this point? And to answer that'll come later. So I'll get to that later. How's that? So the Daily Mail continues. Though it's the only U.S. county where more than half the population is foreign-born, and I checked it's like 51.7% foreign-born, Florida's Miami-Dade has bucked a trend among some cities that have sought to defy federal immigration crackdowns out of sympathy for their large migrant populations. No, they're not migrant populations. The large migrant populations are actually large illegal immigrant populations. So let's get that one right. So why did Miami-Dade's city council, their commission and their mayor and whatnot, why did they defy the order? Of course, obviously, because of the threat of withholding federal funding. But the other thing is that out of these 51.7% foreign-born people, a lot of these people are Cubans. And a lot of them are older, are older Cubans. And the older Cubans actually appreciate what the United States did for them by allowing them to come to this country and kind of like set up shop in Miami. In other words, they have a tendency to be a little more patriotic and a little more American than a lot of migrants, shall we say. And so, consequently, a lot of them vote right. They're more right-leaning, so they vote Republican, not Democrat, not anarchist, and not pro-illegal immigration. And that's why they're backing this thing. It's not just because of the money, although the money's a big deal. So before they took this vote, this 9-3 vote of the city council or whatever they are, the Miami-Dade commissioners that voted 9-3 to uphold the mayor's order, they had a hearing, a public gathering. And Daily Mail writes that many of the people gathered at the meeting stood and shouted obscenities at the commissioners when they voted to uphold the mayor. And that's why. That's what out-of-control leftists do. they shout obscenities, they make a ruckus, they have protests that turn into riots, and that's what they do. And it's frankly, it's beginning to become obvious that that's the only thing they know how to do, as we've seen on too many occasions at this point. And a lot of them are paid to be at these places to make a stink and yell obscenities and whatnot. And so may I make a quick observation? Yes, you may. Thank you. Those on the left side of the aisle, for want of a better term, those on the left, they always say that they're all about the children, right? Let's do it for the children's. Okay, that's what they always claim, correct? So there were a lot of children present at this open public hearing, a lot of them, as a matter of fact, and they're all about the children. But I guess it's okay for them to swear, to use the foulest language, and generally wreak havoc on the session in front of the children. But that's okay if you're a leftist. There's no logic to it. It doesn't need to be logical. It's just leftist, so that's okay. It's all right to swear in front of the children and make a fuss and shout crap and throw stuff and just make a general nuisance of yourself. As long as you're of the left, it's still, you're fighting for the children. And others simply shouted to the county commissioners, at least the 9 who voted to uphold the mayor's ruling, shame on you. I don't know if they did it in English, but shame on you, because voting to uphold the law, the actual federal immigration laws that the whole country has to abide by, shame on you for doing that. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And they even, as they always do, they even trotted out a couple of children to make some statements. And there's a picture of on the website, this article. There's a picture of this little girl, Shirley Venegas, who is the daughter of illegal immigrants. I don't know whether they were deported. I guess they were deported. I don't know, but I think they were. So, and this is another interesting point about this whole deal, is that whenever the right trots out a kid, we're being exploitive. But the left can trot out as many kids as they want, and it's for the children, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. Yet every time that we do it to do something that is beneficial to the right, we're exploiting the children. I just thought that interesting. I also noticed that there was a lady in the audience who was smiling and taking video of the little child speaking on behalf of her illegal immigrant parents, who I think were deported, but left their kid behind. Nice, good parents. Great freaking parents. Yeah, I'd do that. No, I don't think so. I don't care where I'd have to go. If I could bring my kids along, they're coming with me. I ain't leaving them behind. But this lady was wearing a rainbow scarf. You know, the rainbow flag of the LGBTQIEIO brigade or whatever. What the flock does that have to do with illegal immigration? What does a rainbow flag? I just thought that, again, another observation I thought interesting, that a lot of these people that show up to these things have nothing at all to do with immigration, illegal immigration, or anything else. They're all a bunch of wacky leftists with their own causes, and they're all a bunch of disparate bands that get together and protest all together for whatever they're told to protest at that particular day. It's just silliness is what it is. So I'm going to take a quick break here, decompress, and I'll see you on the other side.
You're listening to Common Constitution. Let the truth be known.
All right, I'm back. Took a breath, and we're ready to get to it again. Okay, so this one is the next thing in the Daily Mail article is a quote from one of the county commissioners, Miami-Dade County commissioners. A quote: "This is a country that opened arms to everyone, allowed opportunities to everyone, but this is also a country of law," unquote. County Commissioner Rebecca Sosa, also of Cuban descent, said before the vote taken in a special session, quote, I am so sad to see that people are afraid of something that has nothing to do with immigration. This was just a financial decision. So first off there, Rebecca Sosa, this isn't a country that opened its arms to everyone and allowed opportunities for everyone. We have borders for a reason. If you don't have borders, you can't maintain a country. It's that simple. And if you open your arms to everyone and you allow opportunities for everyone, you will be completely overrun with everyone, because everybody's trying to get into the United States. Nobody's trying to get out. Everybody's trying to get in. Only the wingnuts in Hollywood are threatening to want to get out. Of course, unfortunately for us, they never leave. But then again, that's a topic for another day. And, I'm just saying. All right, so the Daily Mail goes on. And in emotional public testimony, dozens spoke against the order, including school-aged children of deportees, which weren't exploited for the left's purposes. Young people brought to the U.S. without legal permission as children, construction workers, lawyers, and rights advocates. Of course, construction workers? Well, illegal alien construction workers, I suppose. Lawyers and rights advocates, and maybe construction companies that like the free or cheap, not the free, but really cheap labor. I get that too. And landscapers. I'm surprised landscapers didn't show up too. And of course, lawyers and rights activists, because they love this kind of crap. This is job security to these people. And they claim that, or they write that at 1.4 school-aged girls and a boy stepped up to the podium holding hands with Nora Sandiego, who has a foundation that helps and houses children whose parents have been deported, whose parents left their children behind. That's what it should say. These kids are orphans because they took their parents away from them. Oh, yes, that's what they did. I can't stand this much pain, Sandiego said. These kids are not orphans. Their parents are alive. I don't know if they're well or not, but they're alive, and they're living without their children because they left them behind. It's pure and simple. They just up and left them behind. Period. Yes, they left them behind. It's almost as if these poor, innocent children, of which they are, poor, innocent children, are being used as pawns by the left. They're being exploited by the left, and they're being used as pawns, as the left always does, to try to tug on the heartstrings of the evil right. But then again, we all know we on the evil right have no heartstrings because we have no heart. Right? Right? There you go. So who is Nora Sandiego, anyway? Well, Nora Sandiego is the executive director of Nora Sandiego Children's Foundation and the American Fraternity, Inc., both non-profit. They claim it's non-partisan organizations in Miami, Florida. She's as partisan as they come, and we all know it, and so does she. She serves the local community and the national community of immigrants in the United States. No, she serves criminal alien immigrants in the United States, of people who leave their children behind. Her bio claims that with more than 25 years of service, Mrs. Sandiego has had the pleasure of working with great community and government leaders to enact legislation such as NACARA, N-A-C-A-R-A, which helped a great number of immigrants in the United States. What the heck is NACARA, N-A-C-A-R-A? I didn't know what it was either. I had never heard the term before, never heard the acronym before, so I did a little poking around, and this is what it is. You sitting down? Hope so. NACARA stands for the Nicaraguan Adjustment and Central American Relief Act. Man, where do they come up with this crap-ola? Okay, it is a law passed during the Clinton administration in 1997, ready for this, that provides various forms of benefits and relief from deportation to certain Nicaraguans Cubans, although I don't know why they would apply. Well, maybe now. Salvadorans and Guatemalans and nationals from former Soviet bloc countries and their dependents who have arrived as asylees. Of course, the overwhelming majority, over 95%, are not from Eastern Europe, but from Latin America. What a shocker. Did you know about this law? I didn't know about this law. It's basically like the DACA Act. Had no idea that this even existed, and this is part of the problem. We've got this humongous, freaking, massive government with all these laws and rules and regulations that are passed in the dead of the night, or frankly just written by bureaucrats that none of us even know about until this stuff happens. 20 years ago? Holy crap. The Nicaraguan, I'm honestly, really? It provides forms of benefits and relief from deportation. It sounds exactly like the DACA Act to me, and no one said boo about this for 20 years. I'm stunned. I can't believe this exists. But son of a gun, if it wasn't passed and signed into law in 1997, and they've been using it for 20 years, brother. Hundreds of thousands of immigrants have gotten out of deportation and have been provided forms of benefits. Geez, I wonder what they mean by that. Forms of freaking benefits on our dime for all these people. All right, I'm getting wound up again. I need to take another quick breath. I'll be right back on the other side.
You're listening to The Common Constitutionalist. Let the truth be known.
All right, let's get back to this thing. Took a breath. I'm ready to go, baby. So the Daily Mail continues. They write that a Haitian-born Jean Monestam, whatever, was among one of the other three commissioners to vote against the motion. She, he, or it, I don't know if it's a she, Jean, probably a she the way it's spelled. She says, quote, "Today cannot be about money. It must be about justice. It must be about the dignity. It must be about the spirit of our community." Unquote. Yes, words to live by from a social justice warrior. It's not about justice. It's about social justice. It's not about justice. What she means, it's about select justice. And they're the ones that get to select which justice. Yes, they on the left are the arbiters of justice. They're the ones that get to pick and choose what they're going to follow and what they're not going to. And it's supposed to be okay with the rest of us. But it is, in fact, about the money. Eventually, it has to be about the money. This is a city or a county or whatever this is. Miami-Dade, I guess, is a county. So it's got to be about the money. And what the blank is so wrong with that? Somebody, eventually, and this mayor, has to stand up and be the daddy and just say, you know what, we can't afford this. It's costing too much money, and potentially it's going to cost us everything. You know, we're going to go bankrupt if we keep doing this. Eventually, somebody's got to stand up and say enough is enough. We just can't afford this. Somebody has to be responsible, and someone has to worry about how do we pay for all this crap. But the social justice warriors and the Nora Sandigos and whatnot, who I don't know where she gets her funds from, but I could guess, or at least partially, they don't have to worry about where to get the money from. They don't need to worry about the cops and the fire department and the schools and the roads and the bridges and every other bloody thing in the county. They only have to worry about themselves and their precious deportees. So Mayor Gimenez got up finally and defending himself and said, look, I'm an immigrant myself. I can assure our residents that I will not comply with an executive order that will unfairly put our law-abiding immigrants at risk. Well, and why would they? If they're law-abiding immigrants, they haven't broken the law. Who's going to round them up? Nobody. But then, evidently, a Maria Bilbao, whatever, a 50-year-old Argentinian said, quote, "They are broadening ways in which immigrant officials can deport families. How can they keep a clear conscience?" Well, they can keep a clear conscience because they're these whatever immigrant family, deported families, they broke the law, and they've got to pay for what they did. They broke the law. What is it? Don't do the crime unless you can do the time, or something like that. So you keep a clear conscience, because where do you draw the line, Ms. Bilbao, or whatever, however you pronounce the name, and I don't care. Where you have to draw the line somewhere. You can't let everybody in. So where do you draw the line? You just say, well, everybody that's here now gets to stay, and then you build a wall. Well, how is that fair to the people who are just crossing? How is that fair to the people who are just walking up to the wall? You're in, but they're not, and you. How can you sleep at night? How can you keep a clear conscience, Ms. Bilbao? You're already here. So in closing, and I'm closing because I'm too ticked off to continue with this nonsense. Remember when I said at the beginning that I'd answer how we got to this point, and where being here illegally is no longer a big deal, evidently, at least to a lot of people. Well, in the UK Daily Mail comment section, a commenter happened to answer the question in pretty good fashion. Commenter says, "For anyone posting here who wasn't alive prior to 1986, this was always the law in this country. It has never been changed. No one is being deprived of rights that they are entitled to. In 1986, Ted Kennedy wrote legislation which bypassed American law to grant amnesty to what we were told was 3 million illegal trespassers. I guarantee it was more than 3 million, but at any rate. And they were allowed to stay with nothing more than a utility bill to prove that they were in this country. In return for this support, Reagan foolishly believed the Democrat Congress would follow through on their promise to finally fix the border and fund the Border Patrol and ICE. Of course, they reneged on that promise, and the rest is basically history. And he's exactly right. Prior to 1986, yeah, this was a problem, but it wasn't a major issue as it is today. And thanks to that despicable individual, the late, not great Ted Kennedy, this is where we're at now. You give immunity to 3 million, and you get 11 million. No, you don't get 11 million. You get a lot more than that. I'll guarantee you there's more than 11 million illegals in this country. So that's about it. I'm wrapping this up. I've had enough. Hopefully, I won't be writing about immigration, but, whatever. Dare to dream, I suppose. This is the Common Constitutionalist signing off. Y'all have a great balance of the weekend. I'm out of here. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Common Constitutionalist Weekly Podcast.